I am here with Naomi Chaffee,
Yes.
and we are excited to talk about seed gathering,
Yes.
foraging, tinctures, touch on a few of those things, and see where we go.
Yes.
Okay, so Naomi, you are the sister to Joel Haugen of
Yes.
Acres of Asher.
Yes.
Talk to me about growing up on the farm
Okay.
with your mom and dad.
I spent a lot of time outside. I spent a lot of time helping mom in the garden or with garden things. So it was just something that we did. It was also something that my grandparents did. And so gardening was a way of life for me. But my first memory, one of my first memories, is planting zinnias. I was 3.5, planting zinnias with my mother. And I remember looking at the package and getting so excited about all the beautiful colors. And I remember asking, if I put 2 zinnia seeds on top of each other, will the flower come out both colors? And she said no. But I tried anyway. And she was right. I remember in 5th and 6th grade, you go on that class trip. And we went, there was a DNR man who spoke to us about wild edible plants. And I had not heard that you could eat things in the woods. I got so excited. And that's always stuck with me. My mother was incredibly good at making something from nothing.
Okay.
And so I would say that has, I've inherited that. Just looking at something and going, oh, I wonder what we could use that for. So if a plant has multi-uses, that's the most fun thing for me. So in other words, if it's beautiful and medicinal and edible, bonus. I mean, you get to use it for many other things. And that has made me very curious over the years.
Give us an example of one of those multi-use plants that you maybe enjoy specifically.
A nasturtium would be a really fun one. The plant itself you can grow as a deterrent for other insects in the garden. So you plant it and the bad insects will be drawn to nasturtium. So it's like a bait plant. The leaves are edible, the flowers are edible, the seeds are edible. When the seeds dry, you can use them as a pepper substitute. You can grind them and use them as a pepper substitute. But you can use the seeds when they're not developed yet into the hardness, when they haven't cured, to make capers. So that's one I love. I think it's very, very fun. And it's beautiful. That's shepherd's purse. I pick it as a dried flower, but it has medicinal qualities. So I can tincture it if I need to. And the dried flower itself contains the seeds. So if I ever wanted to grow it, the leaves are edible. So if I ever wanted to grow it in a microgreen form in the winter, I could do that. Lamb's quarters.
Okay.
Pigweed. I grew up pulling it out of the field. Pigweed. But I did not know that it was incredibly nutritious. It's in the same family as amaranth and quinoa and spinach.
Okay.
And the nutritional content is really similar to spinach, except greater. And it grows pretty much everywhere. And the seeds, you can eat the seeds and use them as a quinoa replacement. But I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to save the seeds and use them in the winter for microgreens.
Where did you start?
That has been a lifelong progression. The themes that keep rolling around in my life are making something out of nothing. Beauty. I ended up going to college for interior design, but ended up using it in the garden world because in college I worked at greenhouses and related fields. Got out and I worked in both fields, in design and in landscape. So then it just kind of grew in and of itself. I would love a plant for how it looked, and then realize that there were uses.
Sure.
And then it's the whole, I wonder what this would look like when it dried. I
Sure.
wonder what this plant would do. I am fascinated with the design in nature and the function of that design. So it really is always form and function that I'm thinking about. And so if I can use something that's beautiful that will also feed my family or, add to their health, well, how fun is that? It's very fun to me. We're going to put some fire cider together today. Most of these things I grew except for the lemon, and I did not grow the ginger. Calendula. This is horseradish, onion, lemon, garlic, ginger. This is aronia berry, elderberry, rose hips, cayenne pepper, and echinacea flowers. The reason that I chose those is because I like to make fire cider with what I actually have on hand or what I grow. There are so many fire cider recipes out there. You're not going to mess it up. If you're using medicinal plants that you're familiar with, just go for it. Most people in the States use echinacea root. In Europe, they mostly use the flower. And I actually prefer, it's so much easier to use the flower. And I've had great success with using the flower. So that is why we'll be using flower today. Anyway, I'm just going to start, and I'm actually going to make two here. I'm going to try and experiment. This is standard apple cider vinegar that everyone is used to. This is one that I made, and it's much more mild. It's a very fun process if you ever have any design. Not hard, just time consuming. But this is more mild. So I'm going to try a small one with my own apple cider vinegar, and then the standard one that I usually make with the typical apple cider vinegar. So this is my own elderberry. And sometimes people make fire cider with things that taste good, and some of these taste good, but I'm after the medicinal purposes. So I don't
Do your kids enjoy them?
No, but they like to use them.
Sure.
Because it makes them feel better. Mom, I need some fire cider. So the horseradish, you can look up all these medicinal uses, but one thing that horseradish does is clears your sinuses. And this is the horseradish we just picked out in the garden. I'm going to use just a tiny, tiny little bit of calendula. This is such a mild, that aronia, it's very, very fun. And I actually froze this, so that's why you're seeing liquid, because I knew I would be using it for fire cider in a pretty short amount of time. So that's why it's all juicy. Cayenne, oh my goodness. It's one of my absolute favorite herbs. It has so many actions, and it is probably the #1 trauma herb used in trauma situations. What cayenne does, it's basically, and you'll have to verify this information for yourself, but it's basically an adaptogen for your blood vessels. So it will, if your blood vessels are constricted, it will loosen them. If they're too loose, it will tighten them.
Wow.
Yes. And so people have used it if they've felt like their heart muscle is starting to tighten up. They'll take cayenne and they'll feel it loosen. It will stop the bleeding. It will reverse shock. So in a trauma situation, I always, if we're going to be hiking, I always have cayenne with, because it's just a really, really useful herb in that kind of a situation. So here's our rose hips that we were talking about earlier. And now we're just left with some of the nitty gritty. So when you're cooking with garlic, especially if you're going to be doing something lower heat, this is pretty well known, but let your garlic, smash it and let it breathe for a little while, and that will increase the allicin, or at least make it more bioavailable or something. You can verify that. I just know that when you leave it out, and let it sit for a couple minutes, it makes a difference. I was thinking about the echinacea, just an encouragement. When you start, if you have an interest in herbal medicine or just using a little tiny bit of it for yourself, you'll find so many restrictions by some people. Don't use this or do this or whatever. Use this in tincture form or harvest it this time. When you're starting out, just get the herbs in you, whether it's tincture, whether it's poultice. It doesn't, whether you're just putting them in tea, whether you're eating them fresh, just get them in you. Some of those nuances can come later on. And I love adding lemon.
Is that a flavor preference, or is that just like?
I love, whenever I don't feel good, the very first thing that I do is to put lemon and lemon peel in the water, just for the vitamin C and all the other qualities of the lemon. This ginger has been washed. I'm just chopping it just to make it a little bit easier for the apple cider vinegar to do what it does. This is organic ginger, so I don't mind leaving the skin on.
So you could make this as simple too, right? I mean, you could have 1 or 2 or 3 ingredients in this. And,
Yep.
And so, what's in your mind? What is the benefit of doing like a multi-ingredient tincture like this?
Covers more
Fire
bases.
cider.
It covers more bases. So,
Sure.
so I don't know if I start to feel gross. I don't know if it's bacterial. I don't know if it's viral. I don't know what's going on. And so there's so many bases covered here. But I mean, most people know that garlic is an antibiotic. It's really fun to look into some of these things yourself. All right, I think that we're pretty good here. As long as everything stays covered. And this will work like an alcohol works in tincture. It doesn't quite pull everything out to the same extent, I don't think, but it does a very good job. So I will be putting this in a cool, dark place. In 2 weeks, I'd be okay using. I'd be more comfortable in 4 weeks. But that's it.
Is this a situation where you have these made up ahead of time? Then?
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Yep.